You had John Cena in the ring, and the crowd was like, thank you, Cena, and did the whole thing. And I think that was like the nail in the coffin of like him being like, I'm baby face, and this is gonna be great. And then again, it did that weird pause where again, y'all do not know how to speed up things.
I was getting ready to turn it off.
He was ready to. I didn't, because this is what I messaged you earlier that day, because I'm like, Brock is back. And you're like, no.
But it was taking so long. I was just like, nah, nothing's going on. Where's the remote? But you're right.
It's suspense. And it was like, dum, 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 dum. And of course, you can make the argument, you can't have two heels. And then his heel was not healing against Brock Lesnar. Who Brock Lesnar is a heel in life too. But what was your thoughts on just the return? He gave him an F. What would they call it? An F5.
F5.
He gave him an F5. It wasn't like a big, brawl thing. It was like an F5, and we start the new chapter of John Cena facing Brock Lesnar. Just that alone.
I think the match makes sense. We're just talking match-wise. It makes sense. I think they would have a great feud together. Also, business-wise, it makes sense. They need the ratings, they need the hype, and they especially need this push for this retirement thing to work. So Brock has always been that weird guy that he'll come in whenever WWE needs him. Brock is almost like their WWE Superman. It's like when they start drowning or when they need saving, they'll call Brock and those ratings skyrocket. It's the weirdest thing. And it's a fact, unfortunately. Morality wise, this is the stupidest thing WWE could have done. I feel icky just thinking about watching him. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's this and he's that and he's this, and I'm just like, he's been pointed out and named, but nothing's been proven yet. So that's the technicality, I guess, that the company is going with in order to allow this to happen. What I don't understand is, even if it's a technicality, how can you take that risk of not only just your image, but what if later on down the road, it finds out to be true? And how are you going to look then? My guess is that what they're going to try to do is they're going to have him come in and out quick. They're going to have him do a quick feud with Cena, do his farewell match for Brock specifically, and then we won't see Brock again for a while until possibly the trial ends and whatever happens. That's my assumption. So that way they can kind of just keep the damage as low as possible. But to me, I think this tarnishes their reputation regardless of what happens, because you already know the allegations that are going on. It's like I was excited because I get it, but then I feel really icky afterwards. So I'm very conflicted on his presence in the company right now.
This is a landmine. And I think you'll be attacked no matter what you say, no matter what it is, anything. I agree that Brock Lesnar, even before this whole situationship happened, is someone who knows how to bring in the ratings. His merchandise, from what I read, number 1, 2, and 3, top sellers.
Already.
I'm not going to lie. And this goes with separating the artist from the person.
Yeah.
He's one of the few. The thing about Brock is he's always known how to wrestle. But they've conditioned and only want him to do the quick kind of wrestling. In terms of, F5s and hits and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he's really great on the mic when you just allow him to be great on the mic. He's always been good for me. Great on the mic, I'm talking about the wrestler right now. Been great on the mic, He has that charisma. He has that personality. But I think sometimes that got buried a lot because he's so dominant. They just wanted him to be a dominant force.
That's why Paul Heyman did a lot of the talking for him, because they wanted to.
He doesn't, and he never needed a spokesperson.
Yeah.
But now I feel that he does because of the situationship that happened with Janelle Grant. This is why I completely agree with you. I don't want to hear promos. I think that he's one of those presents. He just comes in, he comes out, F5, match is over, we had our feud, on to the next person. Greatest hits. Literally, do a great hit and leave. Here, it's going to be very, very complicated. And this is nothing to do political-wise. This is solely facts on what is with the case. Again, innocent until proven guilty. This is not a trial. This is a civil lawsuit. He's not going to be like taking the stand and the judge and the whole jury. This is not a Diddy situationship.
Yeah.
But he was named 44 times in a civil lawsuit. And this is all just stated facts in terms of what was in the lawsuit, not whether or not he did anything. But he stated that Vince McMahon used Brock to help. So Vince McMahon used Janelle Grant to help re-sign a top star. That was Brock Lesnar. She said she was offered to him as part of the deal, basically property, trafficking. Okay? This began as what she described as a pattern of coercion involving her body and Brock Lesnar's contract talks. So, sign with me, you get a little piece of Janelle. Okay? Allegedly. Grant said McMahon told her to send explicit photos and videos of Lesnar. After she did, allegedly, Vince showed her a reply from Brock saying he likes what he sees, allegedly. She says these instructions weren't optional. They were part of her role as assigned by Vince, allegedly. In 2021, Grant says Vince flew Lesnar in to meet her, but the dinner went badly because Lesnar allegedly got too drunk. So it would have been a sexual act, however you want to label it, rape, coercion, don't know, but it would have been, but he got too drunk. So there was nothing involved in that. So it was all a technicality because he got too drunk. After he was flown home, Vince allegedly, now this was the one that's like, what? Allegedly forced Grant into violent sexual acts, role-playing as Lesnar. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
She says this was not the first time. So he was F5ing her and everything else, allegedly. In December 2001, Grant alleges Vince gave Lesnar her phone number. Vince allegedly requested a video of her urinating. Allegedly. Now that no kink shaming. She says she complied. His response, if you didn't do it, I'd have lost interest. He allegedly called her a biatch the next day by text. Lesnar allegedly proposed a play date, a physical meetup. Grant agreed, then canceled due to illness and weather. She says this was her chance to walk away before anything physical happened, but she claims the pressure had already done harm. Allegedly. She says she was used as a pawn to secure talent deals with an S, multiple people, allegedly. Vince allegedly ordered her to perform sexual acts for corporate goals, allegedly. That's where we got the trafficking. With Lesnar, that allegedly meant videos, sexting, and being offered as part of a WWE contract negotiation, allegedly. Lesnar has not been charged. It's very clear. He has not been charged. And according to Dave Meltzer, he was cleared from WWE, which is why he is in WWE now. So, allegedly, he was not cleared. I mean, he was cleared. He was not charged of any crime. He is not a defendant. But he does have a lawsuit. But in the lawsuit, it names him 44 times. He allegedly received explicit content, made demanding, degrading comments and demands, and engaged in sexual dialogue, allegedly, with a woman his boss had control over, allegedly. So that is why people are, oh my God, his return.
Here's the hypocrisy of all of that allegedly stuff for WWE side and for the fans and stuff. Like, WWE has fired people for allegedly doing something stupid, such as Enzo Amore and Velveteen Dream. Why aren't they doing the same thing with Brock Lesnar? I wonder why. Because he has a lot of pull and influence and he can bring in the ratings. So do you think it's fair to those Brock Lesnar fans saying, oh, allegedly doesn't mean nothing, he didn't do anything until proven guilty? Sure, absolutely right. He is innocent until proven guilty. But the image itself, the idea itself of the allegations happening had warranted WWE to fire Enzo and a huge name of Velveteen Dream. But they won't do the same thing for Brock Lesnar. Bullshit.
I remember when they got rid of China and they won't even put her in the Hall of Fame because she did the videos with the things. And remember the magazines. Now remember they no. That's not right. With the magazines they did support when she was in Playboy. They did support that because I remember it was a whole thing with the thing, and I remember that one explicitly. But when they will not put her into the Hall of Fame because of her history, Triple H was like, well, when you Google her, what do you see? So therefore, she's not in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. So I do find it to be very ironic. And then you have, as you stated before, Velveteen Dream was the text messages. Now, whatever it is you want to claim, what really, really happened or what really didn't happen, he was fired. Mm-hmm. So that is another thing as well. And you have countless others. Matt Riddle was fired for.
Yes.
I think that was. I think because he remember he berated. Mm-hmm. He remember it was like it was drugs incident, I believe, that he had. And then remember he berated somebody at the airport, and that was like the last straw.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly. Yeah. So yes, you can argue, but when it comes to money, that's what it is. And here's the thing I want to say. I will say this. I feel that WWE has been prepping us for his return. Vince? I think this is
Vince's return?
Triple H. Well, Vince is gone. I feel this. So the last time that we saw him was literally 2 years ago in 23 during SummerSlam. That was the last time that we saw him. But it was really interesting that this year, Paul Heyman mentioned him. I don't care who anybody says. Remember the Hall of Fame speech? Mm-hmm. I don't care what anybody says. I love Brock Lesnar because he was part of his team. So he said that, and that was like the first time that we heard Brock Lesnar's name. It's like, oh, mm-hmm. Right? And then to me, it just felt like overall the company has been prepping us for like, you may not like this person, but this is the side that we're on. Triple H was in the White House and they showed the video twice. First time actually on air. So you have that, and then that's a whole other story of that. So I feel that the company that you work for, they do not have a great history when it comes to protecting women or even other wrestlers. You can make the argument. Ashley Mazzaro. And that goes for, a lot of people in that family was named as like being someone who covered it up, allegedly. So I think that this is a company who genuinely doesn't care. And I think what people are doing is complaining without action. You don't like AEW, right? You don't watch AEW. I can tell you and say, hey, did you see the Willow match? Who's Willow? Nope. It's because you don't watch AEW.
So and here's the thing, like if you're itching for that content or something, look up some highlights on Twitter or like I do, because I still catch up with AEW stuff. I just won't watch the product. I will not give them my ratings. So I'll find out what's been going on in the business and stuff like that, but that's about it. And that's the same thing with WWE. You need to speak with, I guess, in this point, not your wallets, but your eyes, and not watch the product if that's how you feel about it. You shouldn't have tuned into Raw. I know he wasn't going to show up on Raw, but you shouldn't have tuned into Raw. Don't tune into SmackDown, because that'll tell them what they need to know about it. And by the way, like you mentioned the whole prepping. I don't think the word is prepping, at least for me. I think the word is just test. I think the word is testing. I think what they were trying to do, I think what they were trying to do is that because fans are fickle, fans will forget things and will move on from things as quick as you remember them. So I think the more the occasional time you hear the word Brock Lesnar, or even Vince McMahon for that matter, the less of a reaction the fans give, the more it gives them the idea that, like, okay, they're starting to forget. They're starting to not make it a big deal. So maybe at some point we could start to slip in a little bit more and we can introduce Brock Lesnar. Because I know at some point, and you mentioned this on Twitter, we're gonna see Vince McMahon again on television. If they allow Brock Lesnar on television making money and increasing those ratings, you're damn sure they're going to have Vince McMahon on television again. Not in control, not in production or anything like that, but he will be Vince McMahon, the character, and he'll show up at some point.
John Cena, this is handpicked by John Cena. So this is not like, and I brought him back and you can make the argument because of ratings, but this is John Cena putting his neck out and saying, this was me. I wanted a match with Brock Lesnar. So this is all because of him. And if you notice, he's been doing some weird, questionable things for some people, where he was like, I don't care what Vince did. Not necessarily I don't care, but once I love you, I'm not going to disown you. I support you. And we saw him, he stated that about Vince. Where you're like, what? What just happened? And then it was Vanity Fair articles. Did he do the Vanity Fair? I know there was a New York Times article. So he did the New York Times article where he was like, Vince did what he did, but I'm going to love you regardless.
Yeah.
And then it was Roman Reigns who did the Vanity Fair. It was like, why is everybody turning a certain way and supporting a certain party? I thought we were keeping politics and wrestling separate for the moment. But then that's what as you stated, I think testing the waters. Because when Roman Reigns did that whole article, you're like, what? And then, of course, we know The Rock and his side and what he feels. He did the Fox News interview. And I'm like, oh, okay. Those are your opinions. Okay. So they've been testing. But every time that they tested, from my understanding, it really didn't dip in terms of the ratings. It wasn't a huge outcry. Now there is a really huge outcry. And he didn't appear on Raw. I'm like, where is he? You said SmackDown. Let's see what happens on SmackDown. Because you said John Cena's next appearance.
Let's not see what happens on SmackDown. Don't watch the damn show.
Don't watch the show. I feel that a company, if moral, amoral, you have the right to do whatever you felt that you want to do. This is in your heart, this is in your soul. You want Brock Lesnar? Cool. Let's see how other people react. But don't blame them if the ratings all of a sudden, it's 3.2 million. Because they're going to say like, whoa, we did great. That's 5. Yeah, let's bring out Brock again.
Keep him coming. Yeah.
Keep him coming. So then by the time we're over, and I strongly feel this, when John Cena retires, and there's going to be a speech, and it won't get cut off like Goldberg's either, but there's going to be a speech. Who's to say that all of a sudden Vince McMahon is not going to be not in the ring? He's not going to be in the audience. Like a boy. And they'll show a quick thing. And he'll get in a reaction, but he's going to be there. I think that he'll make an audience appearance. Maybe.
Cena isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, is he? I can't remember if they inducted him or not. They didn't induct him yet, right?
I don't think so. I strongly don't think so.
Because I picture that Vince is definitely going to be in the crowd if they induct him. Like at the very least, if we don't see him on like Cena's last retirement match or something like that, we're gonna see him in the induction, if not him being the inductee for that matter.
I never thought of that. Well, that's definitely not gonna be this year. I think give it a good, maybe you think 2 years and you induct him?
Probably 2 years.
I think that's a good 2 years, maybe. But he's definitely going to make an appearance. I feel, but it's not going to be running the company. He's not going to be a board member, even though I still strongly feel that he's maybe a silent one because he has so many
Well, he
people
talked
that he
about
still,
talking about
is,
Triple H, or Triple H talked about him talking with him every now and then.
yeah. And we all know Bruce Pritchard. He's still there.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me Bruce Pritchard all of a sudden is not talking to him?
Yeah.
Michael Hayes is not talking to him? Come on now. We cut all ties. You really? That's your dude. That's your daddy-in-law. You gonna believe? I mean, you may say, "Oh, and we don't talk to him anymore," but what's really going on? We don't know. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on the whole Brock Lesnar incident. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But you tweeting about it is not going to do anything. They don't care about tweets. So then we have to go on. They got rid of the press conference. I want to know from you. We've had press conferences ever since they signed Cody. And I feel that was something that Cody liked doing from AEW. So he brought it into WWE. Now Triple H is saying, that really didn't work for us. And I kind of have to agree. Yes, you can make the argument, because it is the argument. The reason why they cut it during SummerSlam and not say Elimination Chamber was they didn't want any Brock questions. So did it ever work for you?
It never worked for me. Even in AEW, it didn't work for me. You know how I feel about the illusion, about all that. What they treated it more like, and I'm not faulting anyone for making it feel this way, but I get that they wanted to make it feel more sports-like. That's why they did these. So it makes sense. But for me, I didn't like them because of me. I want the illusion. I want the story. I want the characters. I don't want all this backstage stuff. So for me, I didn't care so much for it. But I get why they did it. For them to take it away makes absolute sense that they did this because of Brock Lesnar. They don't want any questions going on. 100%. I would stake my paycheck on that. What would piss me off, even though I don't care about it, what would piss me off is that they took this away, but as soon as that program with Brock and Cena is done, they all of a sudden bring it back. That's fucked up. That would be an insult to the fans, because all they did was try to smack a Band-Aid onto something and hold it tight until the problem went away again. And then they could bring back the whole scrum stuff. I have a feeling that that's what's going to happen.
Triple H said that they was done. I think they've been a debacle.
I think it's bullshit. I don't.
There is literally no reason for a press scrum. I think it really works with certain companies. I believe New Japan Pro Wrestling does it. I don't know what's really going on because it doesn't speak to Japanese. But for me, it feels like it works better that way. And I think that press scrums only really work if you're trying to build towards, if it's staged. I think it works better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, here's one wrestler and I beat him, and then you have the other wrestler come in and then body slam them.
Sometimes, because they did it with like Drew and CM Punk. They did it with
they did do
wrestlers. That. They did it a little bit. So yeah, I agree with that. I guess you could look at it in that perspective, that it helps push the story if they're still staying in character. But that's the thing. Like, I still feel like that was something that they were very adamant on doing, and they did it for a while. For them to just take it away all of a sudden in SummerSlam, coincidence? No. So I think they're just going to bring it back and act like nothing happened.
Here's what I kind of wonder about. Will they pull away from doing public appearances? Because remember, they used to do a lot. They still do. They do a lot of Comic Cons. Mm-hmm. And even though it may be like the touring event at the Comic Con, do you think that people can then be like, and Brock is back? What are your feelings? Because
I think I think they're gonna have a very large meeting and train everybody to give very corporate answers, especially from Triple H and Cena, because they're not going to have Brock. They're not going to show Brock off anywhere. He's going to be backstage until he's ready to get in that match or that ring, promo or not, whatever it might be. But all those other wrestlers and producers, and even like Heyman for that matter, Heyman's never afraid to like tell you.
No, he declared his love for him. He was the one who kickstarted this.
Well, what I'm saying is like Heyman was never afraid to tell a fan or anybody off. So like if a fan or even like an actual journalist had the balls to ask about Brock to Heyman, Heyman's gonna be like, "Fuck you, next question." Like literally.
That should be really interesting. He does have great control over everything. And then also remember when the lawsuit first popped up, the really great spokesperson who I'm like, he should just do this instead of Triple H was Cody Rhodes. Remember he gave that really good professional answer where it wasn't like a runaround, but it was just really good.
Mm-hmm.
So
he can be very corporate too.
He's very corporate. But yeah. So what was my own question? I forgot.
How do you think people? How do you think wrestlers will react to being questioned about Brock?
Yeah, I think it's gonna just be like a duck and dive, and like, here's my toy. Can we focus on my toy? This is not question. This my toy. But yeah, I do. For me, media scrums never really worked for WWE. I think partially because one, the questions were so darn dumb. What's your favorite Waffle House? Mm-hmm. I would have preferred. I prefer what they're doing now. It's very controlled. We're asking the questions, and I think it comes across better that way. So I like it. It was very good.
But I guess TKO can save money too.
And you do say, but no, because they're still flying out. They still flew out the press to be in the skybox. Yeah, press was still flown out.
Oh yeah. Well, sure, I guess, but I just mean there's less budget in production when it comes to like setting up the scrum stage and the tables and the staff and the time and the lights and the cameras and all that stuff. Like you don't have to spend that money for that anymore. They can focus their resources somewhere else at this point.
Yeah, and it's a good lesson to like don't cover wrestling if you can't. It was a really, you know what? It's easy to say you guys' question sucked because it really was a catch-22. But the thing is that nobody was really journalists. But I think if they had real journalists there, they would have got grilled and toasted even more.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have got ran over. So they tried to play it safe, but for us watching, it sucked. I don't want to know what's your favorite Waffle House, and then I really hate it. And what are you going to do next? You won the belt. That's questions that, people who never talk to people ask. Thought it was terrible. So I'm happy they got rid of it. Even though Brock was the reason why they got rid of it. It just never worked. Now I wonder, will AEW follow suit? Because it never really worked for AEW either. I don't like it. In the beginning it did. Because they were so new. And it was such a new talent. I'm kind of wondering, should they get rid of their...
I kind of feel like because AEW, when they first started out, I used to watch AEW in the beginning, at least the first year and a half to 2 years, I watched AEW, but their big marketing thing was that they were going to treat it as a real sport with real sports stats, and that's why they also did the scrum thing, because other sports do the same thing. But they've strayed away from that for quite a while now. They don't really track wins and losses the same way. It just doesn't work. It didn't work. So why get rid of one thing but not another? So I agree. You should probably get rid of the scrum thing also, because you're not sports oriented anymore. You're a wrestling company.
You know what? They should have got rid of scrums when it came after that CM Punk situation.
Oh yeah,
because that
CM Punk embarrassed him too.
And here's the thing: it wasn't a journalist that asked the question. CM Punk started the whole thing by asking a journalist the question, about Colt Cabana. I believe it's been years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that maybe we should no longer have a scrubs period. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Do what WWE is doing and have a controlled environment where you can say cut when anything goes crazy. So yeah, that right there could have been a really good indicator. This is not going to work. we can't control people. So, and that wasn't even the journalist's fault. But yeah. So that is interesting. Is there any last things that you want to talk about? Anything that I missed from SummerSlam? Nikki Bella getting ran over.
Oh, geez. Well, that was on Raw with Nikki.
That was on Raw. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know why Nikki's in the company. We all know why Nikki's in the company. I mean, be realistic. But I think we covered everything, but in general, SummerSlam was a bust. Yes, I love the plot twists for both nights. Those were great high impact ways of ending the show and all. But overall, I feel like this product is getting lazier and more complacent and more just worried about the marketing and the ads and the money rather than the fans and the wrestling. It's getting worse since Vince left, honestly. It's weird to say that. So this SummerSlam was not fun. I'm not looking forward to the next pay-per-view.
So as someone, he's terrible at what happened. But, and he's also, I'm not to say, even before all this thing came out with Vince, he is not perfect in terms of booking.
No.
We had the dog food. Remember the dog food thing with Roman Reigns? We lived through the dog food era, which was when CM Punk was supposed to come in. But Vince McMahon was like, no. And then Triple H was like, oh, he didn't change. It was me all along who said no, not Vince. And he was terrible. But I do feel that there is an overexposure. We're having pay-per-views, which feels like to me every 2 weeks. Now I'm not good at the timing, but there used to be some months in between pay-per-views. Pay-per-views felt special. Like, oh, this match can't be settled on a regular show. This feud has to go on a pay-per-view. And I feel like, oh, you sneezed on me that one time. Pay-per-view match. It's losing its specialty. It's losing its magic. And I think that I'm just becoming overwhelmed with pay-per-views. I just don't care anymore. So I think it's too many pay-per-views, which it was way too many ads during this whole SummerSlam. It was like, you could cut down a whole hour.
Not even just ads that interrupted the show. There were ads within the show that was just as annoying and invasive. Like there were ads while people were going down the ramp. There were ads during people's promos, for that matter. What the fuck are we doing?
I don't know what we're doing, but it's terrible. And remember, they cut off. Naomi had like a really good promo that she did, and they cut that off. But for an ad, it was so terrible. Yeah, I think that TKO is really ruining WWE. I don't know if it was intentional. This will go down a whole conspiracy theory, but I don't know what's going on. But it's not working. But once again, here we are complaining, and here are other people complaining. If you don't like it, don't watch it. So,
yes, I think there's a difference, though. I will say there is a difference, and I'm not calling myself a journalist. I don't believe I'm a journalist, but I believe I'm here to help out with the Koalition to talk about wrestling and put out the news and the matches and things like that. So people like us, we kind of feel a bit obligated to watch the product a bit, to kind of help put out our product to you guys, the fans, the listeners, the watchers and stuff like that. But if you're just a fan who doesn't have a podcast or a WrestleCast or something like that, like you have more of a reason not to watch the product if you hate the product that much. I could hate the product, but I kind of still also watch the product, to kind of like help participate in these type of videos and things like that. So it's like you give and take.
So, ladies and gentlemen, live on this video, he is proclaiming that he is going to watch every episode of AEW.
Oh, no. That's not. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last episode I am producing for the Koalition. Thank you very much for all the time and the opportunity you've given me.
Enjoy your future endeavors.
Oh, jeez.
He's quit. Oh, you ran out. I'm going to just call you Sasha Banks and Naomi, since you're running out of the company. But yeah, so that is everything that kind of happened. That the big major points of SummerSlam, and of course the return of Brock Lesnar, and we'll have to see what happens from there. And again, if you don't like the decisions that's being made, you have the ability to just not watch. Or plot twist, you remember something? Remember when Vince McMahon did that huge speech, and we're going to fight this together, right?
Oh, yeah.
What did they do? People got upset, and they contacted the advertisers. Remember when Slim Jim pulled out?
They didn't waste
no
time firing Vince.
Then it was like, oh, Vince has been fired from the company. If you don't like it, not only just don't watch it, complain to the advertisers.
That's when social media will help out, because you can tag those sponsors on like Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and all of that. Tag them, tag Slim Jim, tag the Hyatt, I think is the hotel that they were promoting.
Everything.
Tag everything that they do. Papa John's, yes, tag them in those things.
Willy Wonka's chocolate factory treats. Literally, just look at the show. There's an ad everywhere, and then contact them. If you don't like it, contact them and see what happens. It's as simple as that. Don't watch and contact. So yeah, that is all of that I have to say about that situationship. I'm not on any side because I'm going to just be neutral and see how this plays out.